Well, it's 7 o'clock, so we're going to get started. My name is Michael Meyer, and I am the Executive Director of the Ironwood Chamber of Commerce. A little bit of background on this. About 4 years ago, when I first came here, we had one of these forums in this very same room. It was the first time it had been done for a while, and we had an enormous crowd of 75 people. But we didn't have a sound system. And so the most remarkable thing about it was, certainly from an ex-teacher perspective, was the room was dead quiet because nobody could hear anything unless everybody leaned forward and listened carefully. But this time, we hope you listen carefully, but at least we do have the famous City of Ironwood sound system, and it seems to work quite well if you hold the microphone up and talk right into it. The rules for tonight are, if you have a question, please write it and bring it over here to our esteemed question panel because they are condensing and combining things to create essentially questions that deal with one principal topic at a time. The second part is the timings of our candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes at the beginning to introduce themselves to you. And they can talk about anything they want, about their biography, about why they think they would be a good person on the commission. They might, if they're an incumbent, they might want to talk about what they've done in their time on the commission. Then we will start our questioning, and I will read the question and pick a person, and we'll go around. And each candidate gets about 1.5 minutes to answer that particular question, and everybody gets to answer the question. For example, if somebody submitted a question detailing how many frogs do you think are going to be hibernating in Ironwood this winter, each person will get a chance to say, well, there'll probably be 30 or 30,000 or who knows, there are no frogs in Ironwood. Everybody will be allowed to comment on that question. So that's why we are really asking for the written questions so that every person, every candidate has a chance at that question. At the end of question time, each candidate will have 1 minute to sum up why they should be elected to the commission. And this is kind of free time for them. If they found a topic based on your questions that they thought was really important, that they wanted to re-emphasize their views, that would be their chance. If they decided that they wanted to use that minute to talk overall about their candidacy, why they were running, why they think they can make a difference to the community, they can talk about that as well. At 8 o'clock, we'll take a little 5-minute break. There is, out in this aisle, restrooms to be found. And if you just want to walk around in the aisle out there and reawaken your feet, you can do that as well. If the place burns down, there's an exit that way and there's an exit that way. So there are ways out of here, out of the conundrum of being in this room. So I want to again thank everybody for being here, and especially our candidates who are taking the case of actually wanting to do public service. I kind of have been in their position in another city, in another town, in a galaxy far, far away from here. And I do know how much commitment they have, not only to come to this, but to being willing to put themselves in front of the public to do public service. It's an incredibly important task because without people willing to do public service, well, we don't have public service. So a big thank you to each of these candidates for coming tonight and also for willing to be a candidate to exercise community leadership and community vision. So, with that, I will pass the mic off. I'll start over here with Mr. Wood, and he can have a couple of minutes to tell us about himself. Thank you.
Thank you. It's unusual for a W to be first, but that's all right. My name is Dan Wood. I'm running for City Commission, obviously. I'm glad to be here tonight. Thank you for the college for having the space and the chamber to have it. I've been a 10-year resident of Ironwood, and my wife and I, former wife and I, owned 2 businesses in Hurley. My brother owns a motel in Hurley. I've been very active in the community, very active in business. So I've been very familiar, and I've always loved politics since I've been 8 years old. I was one of those oddball kids. I've always wanted to run, but I decided not to. I also am the Gilgabby County Drain Commissioner. But When I decided to run, it was because there's been so many issues, and I feel that there needs to be a little bit of change in Ironwood for the future, for our direction in our neighborhoods, and our downtown and our city. Not saying everything that has been happening is bad, but there needs to be a different direction, some different voices, some new things happening, and some different input. We can't have always the same people, or a little people, or a little amount of people controlling the entire, shall we say, the tail wagging the dog. And all these folks have nothing bad to say about any of it. This is not about a personality contest. It's simply about trying to get things done and trying to work hard for the people and listening and treating some of our citizens, whether they're rich or poor or whatever they are, to listen to them and talk to them and hear what their needs are. Our water situation bothered me. That was one of the things that got me into this. I've been there 10 years as a property owner. I'm still waiting for my sidewalks to be replaced. I have people walking on the yard, walking on the street, and I'm not one of those old grandpas that take the soccer ball away if somebody walks on my grass. But there's a lot of stuff we need to do and improve our neighborhoods. Our property values are decreasing, and as we work on the downtown, we can't neglect our neighborhoods. People are moving out. Our grandchildren, our children are not staying here. They want to leave because there's no jobs. And those that want to move here, they want to live in a beautiful little community. And there's so many parts of our city that is nice, but there's also some other parts of our city that we need to do some improvement on. And we need to spend some time doing that also. So that's why I'm running, and, okay, that's why I have to stop right now. Hold on. We've already got you tangled up.
All right, my name is Rick Simo. I've been on the City Commission for 10 years. It's been an enjoyable ride in many ways. Been some difficult moments, but it's been a pleasure working with our city staff. I'd like to talk about myself a little bit. Born and raised here, left for college, lived in Chicago for 2 so years, and was really happy to move back here, and I haven't looked back since. I love living here. I'm very involved in the community. I volunteer in many different levels. I won't go into all the details, but I am involved in a lot of organizations. Having been on the commission for 10 years, I've gained a lot of knowledge. I've been to numerous seminars, meetings, and so forth, and I've learned a lot about what it takes to run a city. It's a much bigger task than people would ever think. And we have achieved a lot in the 10 years that I've been on. The list, if I brought a copy, you would be amazed, truthfully, at what we've done. Virtually every street in Ironwood has been repaved, something that you couldn't say any time for the last 30 years. We've replaced about half of our water system, so that means we still have half to do. And we're in the middle of a lot of projects, and I feel like I want to see them through, and that's why I'm continuing my effort to be on the City Commission. And as far as myself, I'm a listener, I'm open-minded, I love new ideas. I will support pretty much any decent sounding new idea. We need new ideas, we need creativity, and that is what is going to continue our town in moving forward. And I believe we are moving forward. So that's about all I have to say. Didn't use up all my time.
Thank you. Jim Mildren, City Commissioner for 4 years. Quite a change from my past occupation. Started and was the manager for the Gogebic County Transit, 38 years. 38 years, I felt that we needed to bring good public transportation to Gogebic County. We needed to have our seniors taken care of, children taken care of, and 38 years of running a business, audits every year, satisfied customers every year, helping a lot of people. And I think I've carried that on with the city of Ironwood. I know I have. But the other big part of this is I especially, I could talk about myself, Northern Michigan graduate, lived in Ironwood all my life. But I like talking about volunteer work, because when you volunteer, that means that you put a part of yourself out there. You don't look for anything except for the groups that you're trying to help. And some of the things that I'm most proud of, besides starting and being the manager of the Gogebic County Transit, is Santa's headquarters. I started that about 12 years ago, and that's grown to a $25,000 a year between toys and cash, and we help about 450 children whose families are struggling financially, and we've been doing that. And that takes hundreds of hours of everyone's time, including my own. I also started Go Ride Our Range Ride, a bike ride, because we wanted to have trails in our town. And every year that ride it takes in between $750 and $1,000. So, you know, it's about $10,000 that we've been able to contribute. So, 4 years on the city commission, 40 years of volunteering. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jim. I'm Bill Martell, and I'm running for the Ironwood City Commissioner. I believe that right now the current city commission wants everything. They want a full-time public safety department. They want all the people there at the memorial building. They just voted on the City Square project, and the next big expenditure in the next year is the water treatment plant. I think the people deserve an answer on how they want to pay for this water treatment plant, and I'm very cost conscious. I have a degree in math, economics, and accounting with minors in marketing and management. So I'm dead set for reducing the cost to the taxpayers. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Tom Fiala, and I'm currently running for Ironwood City Commission. Whereas other candidates are going to run on their beliefs and their values, I hope to represent the diverse beliefs and values of this community. My experience of life has taught me that is not taught from any college, and from that I humbly realize that in order to represent others, you must be open to ideas that are your own, as well as opinions that aren't your own, from points of view you can't openly relate. My hope is to represent all people of this city. Currently, I'm a Gogebic Ontonagon Community Action Agency board member, as well as a Gogebic County Fair board member. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good evening. My name is Kim Corcoran, and I was born and raised in Wakefield, Michigan. I've been a resident of Ironwood for 29 years. I live here with my husband and my dogs, and we enjoy pretty much all the cool things that Ironwood has to offer. I have a bachelor's from Northland College in Ashland, a master's from St. Scholastica in the field of education, and that's primarily what my job has been over the last 25 years, is in the field of education. A few years back, I also got interested in the city of Ironwood. I wasn't happy with the way things are going. I thought, I'm going to run, I'm going to change the world. But as you get involved, you learn that it's not really that easy to just come in and change the direction of the ship. But that being said, I'm happy with the way things are going. I mean, we can always improve and we can always change. But we have our comprehensive plan that's kind of been directing us in the direction that we go with the parks and our land use and transportation and things like that. And I think all the little things that we've done over the years, we've added the depot park, we've added beautification downtown, we have roads, our water and sewer projects have all been done. And I think that just shows that we're trying to do what we can to attract and maintain the people that we have here. But I think it also shows that we're ready for development, and we're just going to accept people to come on in and check out what Ironwood has to offer. So, thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Thank you, everybody. My name is Annette Burchill. I've been honored to serve on City Commission for the last 4 years as your mayor. I'm the daughter of hardworking Italian parents who immigrated to Ironwood to give their children an education and opportunities. I graduated from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor with a double major in cell biology and Russian language and literature. I love to read and learn something new every day. My husband and I moved back to Ironwood 25 years ago to raise our children close to our parents in our beautiful Northwoods. I own and manage a small mom-and-pop hotel. Since moving back, I have to toot my horn, I guess, a little bit. I've worked hard to make Ironwood stronger. I volunteer as a grant writer and treasurer for the Downtown Art Place, which has received $130,000 in grant monies since 2014. I serve on the First Fridays Planning Committee. I secured donations for the building of the Mount Zion Observation Deck and the resurfacing of the tennis courts. I was a startup board member and organizer for the Sisu Ski Fest, Miners Park, Friends of the Carnegie Library, and directed productions for Theater North and Historic Ironwood Theater. I chaired the Concept Development Committee of the Regional Trail, which later became the Iron Bell Trail, with a great team of regional leaders. I co-chaired the Depot Park Development Council. In these 4 years as your mayor, I've strived to serve with respect for all and to learn with an open mind. I take this responsibility as an elected official very seriously. I take the time to thoroughly study and research issues facing the commission, and I meet with city staff with questions before meetings. I am soft-spoken, but I'm strong and effective. I'm running again for commission because I'd like to support Ironwood's positive momentum and to weigh in on complicated issues such as water quality and the new marijuana laws to support what is best for our community. I'm honored to call Ironwood home, a place filled with so many hardworking and caring people who always come together to support each other and their community. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for your opening statements. And I also thank the audience for submitting questions. If any of you have any additional questions, please write them on the things and bring them over to the table, or I'll walk, I see a hand there, I'll come out and pick yours up. Our opening question is actually directly related to your individual experience in Ironwood. How are you present in the community? Do you attend events and functions? Are you a member of any other clubs or committees in Ironwood?
W again, okay. Yes, besides being the county tree commissioner, also active, I was volunteered the last Friday at the All Saints for the haunted house. I was a scary evil clown as they came in there. And I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus Council 1396 and a member of Our Lady of Peace Parish. And I'm also active in our library and some of our other volunteer activities that we have there, and I support. And I've been very involved with different events in the community that happens, and I've also been very supportive, especially when I was a business owner in Hurley, of different events in Ironwood. And I've always supported anything that happens in Ironwood. I always want to see good improvements that happens in Ironwood. I mean, I want to see our downtown more vibrant. I want to see our neighborhoods more vibrant. I want to be proud to live here. I mean, when I go during the winter, and when we get, well, it is winter almost now, but when we start to see the blizzards start coming and we cross the border into Hurley, there's a total difference of our roads compared to Hurley, and that really shouldn't be. So there's a lot of different things that I volunteer with and helped, and yes, I don't look like it, but I've shoveled snow too, so I support helping people, and I believe we need to give back too. We need to also be involved with different organizations, and I've helped with the food bank and different things. So it is important that we are involved with our community or our church.
The question is, are we involved in the community? For myself, I can say emphatically, I am very involved in the community. I am currently, and I've been in for the last 6 years, on the board of directors of the historic Ironwood Theater. And in that time, we've turned the theater around. The theater was having some difficult times, to say the least, and in the last 3 or 4 years, with a terrific board and a really strong group of people, we've turned it around and are doing pretty well these days. And we're in the process actually of getting a brand new sound system there, which will really enhance the quality of product we're giving to our residents. And the first show will be in January, Mamma Mia. So that's an ABBA tribute band, and get your tickets, because it's going to be a great time. Beyond that, I am also on the Sisu Board of Directors for about the last 9 or 10 years. I am going to be found about 7 or 8 committees of the city over the years. I'm on the board of directors of the Friends of the Miners Memorial Heritage Park. I have been active in the Range Striker Youth Soccer Program. There's a bunch more that I'm forgetting, but yes, I am very involved in Ironwood, and I feel fortunate to live here.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, the exact same thing for me. A lot of those organizations. I'm also on the Civic Center board, You'll see the dome going up over there. 25 years Ironwood Kiwanis. We do 4 fundraisers a year. We support the Needy Children's Trust Fund. There's not a park in Ironwood that doesn't have equipment donated to it, playground equipment that we've helped pay for. Christ Lutheran Parish, I've been either a board member or a past president. The Carnegie Library Poets, the Friends of the Iron Bell Trail, the, I mentioned previously, Go Ride Our Range Ride. Pretty much over the years, anything that people have asked me to do, I've done. I was a Little League coach, a girls softball coach, a basketball coach. We had an organization that put lights up for the Little League fields. Yeah, it goes on and on. So I know that throughout the years, this town has really shown brightly because of the work of all of the volunteers, and I'm just happy to be one of them. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I'm pretty much not involved in any social clubs, but I do go have coffee every day, get the feedback from the community that is in attendance. So that's all I have to say on the subject.
Thank you. I'm a proud father. I'm active in my community. I'm on the Gogebic-Ontonagon Community Action Agency Board that supports both children and seniors. I'm on the Gogebic County Fair Board. I've grown up doing community service my whole life. My family still does it down in Chicago. Outdoor events are my specialty, concerts, festivals. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
I'm involved with the community just based on being on the city commission, and along with being on the city commission, I also had the pleasure of serving on the DIDA, the library board, the Gogebic Iron Wastewater Board, the Park and Rec Committee, and many other things. I try to volunteer whenever I can. You know, when the CISO race comes up, ask how I can help, what I can do. Festival of Ironwood comes up, I ask how I can help and what I can do. Shop with a Cop, we used to have that out of the Memorial Building and work with public and safety officials and children in the area. Relay for Life, when that was big, we had a team and we used to do a lot for that. I'm currently trying to raise money for breast cancer awareness for the month of October, so that's why I'm in neon pink for tonight. I attend First Friday, any kind of special events. I think we have a lot of cool things going on. Like Bill, I try to go out, I try to listen to what people have to say, what's going on, what their concerns are, what their questions are, bring it back, find out what's going on, what we can do. And a few other things, just extras, they come up, the entrance signs, the mayor and I were part of that committee where let's see what kind of sign would be nice for Ironwood, how can we make that better? Take a look at the hiring process. We were also involved on trying to get good quality people to come to Ironwood and work and serve our community. So those are a few things I've been involved in.
Well, I don't know why I need my glasses for this, just reform it a little bit. Yeah, I've been, as I listed in my opening statement, that I'm heavily involved in the community, and part of it is because I'm primarily a doer. My strength is not really attending meetings. I find that difficult. I find that because you have to make decisions and consider things, but I'm really a doer. So I really love volunteering because I found that you can impact the community and make a difference. Things that I'm truly passionate about. I love music, so I teach piano, I accompany for the Ironwood School Music Choir program, I play the organ at church. Since being on commission, this has taken a lot of my time, so sadly, to a certain degree, I haven't been able to pursue as many creative endeavors. So I used to direct shows and produce the hit idol shows at the Ironwood Theater, and I just haven't had the time or energy to devote to those wonderful creative opportunities, but that was a great way to, because I love mentoring young people. What I'm still able to do is I've been coaching the Ironwood girls tennis team for 17 years, and just engaging with those young women, and because it's not just about tennis and sports, it's about teaching them different skills and mentoring them through that experience. Thank you.
The next question involves the role of the city commission in encouraging participation. How would you get more people involved in city events and get them to take more pride in their community? And this time I'll start out with Rick.
So the question is, how are we going to get our residents to be more engaged, is generally the gist of it. This is definitely the key, one of the key things that we have to try to figure out how to do. I think First Fridays, things like First Fridays, the improvements in downtown, these are the kinds of things that are getting people out and looking around at Ironwood and going, yes, there is something in fact going on here. Can we do more? We can definitely do more. I don't have the answers. I wish I did. Always willing to listen to suggestions. And pretty much that's all I have to say about that topic.
Yeah, thank you. So, I know that if you present people with something that they don't have to come to every meeting for, if they can just roll up their sleeves and go to work, we'll have people involved. I know when we had the governor coming to Ironwood, and we needed the grass placed at the historic People Park. We raised the money for buying the sod, and we probably had 100 people there, and in 2 days we laid all of the sod, the grass down, at the historic People Park, and then Governor Snyder came there and he said, "My God, what a beautiful park," and so that effort had a lot of people involved. I know when your children are growing up, whether it's basketball, baseball, it's easy to get people to come and volunteer their time, but a lot of people don't like to come to the meetings, and I don't blame them for that. But so we need those kinds of events where people feel good about themselves, and I think our community has done a great job at that. I know Hope Animal Shelter has a great turnout. Yeah, so the Hiawatha, a lot of people took part there. There are great things going on in our community. Thank you.
I personally believe that the work sessions should be open to the public for participation. Right now, it's half you cannot participate, the other half you can participate, with no logic in there whatsoever. That is my primary concern, is getting to hear what the public has to say. And that's what these work groups should be for, or the work sessions. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, in order to engage the community, I think you have to be approachable, and you have to get out there and you got to talk to people. And sometimes it means having difficult conversations. Yeah, generally that's the case from time to time, but it's necessary. And a lot of good things comes from conversations like that. So I think that's how we do it.
I think there's a few things that we can do. Like was mentioned earlier, sometimes it can be daunting to be at city commission meetings, either on both sides of the table. I think maybe more informal meetings, and invite people, say, hey, we're going to talk about the downtown, how can we make it a little bit better? Or maybe say, hey, Jim, would you be willing to do this? Or would you be willing to take on this? And just invite people, just to sit down, have a casual conversation, make it easy going, whether we're having coffee somewhere, having breakfast somewhere, just to talk about, what do you think needs to be done, or how can we do it, or how you can help. The workshops too, I think probably could use some structure, because people, if they're involved and you ask them and you talk to them, I think there's more of a buy-in, and when people have buy-ins, I think they're more willing to take on different tasks and work towards getting things done. So more openness, maybe a few more casual meetings just to get people on board.
Those are great ideas, because we certainly welcome the involvement of more people within our city. We have a lot of committees within the city that, like the Parks and Recreation Committee and the Economic Development Committee and Civic Center Board. A lot of them have openings. I know there's one for sure on the Civic Center Board. I can't recall the other ones that have openings, but there's many opportunities for people to contribute and kind of get their feet wet. I've found in my tenure it's really hard to get people interested in getting involved and making that commitment to attend a monthly meeting. But I think we've tried real hard to build a sense of community, like with the First Fridays events, which have been super successful in drawing people downtown and giving people a chance to gather once a month, visit with each other, see the progress. The community has come together, the different entities, to offer various types of entertainment or incentives. So that's a good start, a small start, but a great start to get people downtown and start building a stronger sense of community. And have people have pride in their community. I know we have a lot of issues where in an old mining town that has an enormous infrastructure and it's much smaller. So we have those challenges as have been addressed in dealing with those issues. We can't attack everything, but we have made progress little by little. And but I think building that sense of pride in who we are and what we are and what we can be is a good start. Thank you.
To get the community involved, first of all, for anybody to be involved with anything, they have to have some passion or they want to like something. There's a lot of things that I don't like, so I'm not involved with in the sense of hobbies or whatever else. I mean, if somebody doesn't like skiing, they're not going to be involved with skiing, or same with deer hunting. There's some people on November 15th, it's nothing. But in our city, I believe we need to be more involved. In fact, we actually have been involved. We've had a lot of people complain about the marijuana issue, the water issue, and sometimes it doesn't seem like nobody's listening. And it seems like when people have to scream and shout and actually start acting up and causing all kinds of fusses and picketing, why? I went around and talked to a lot of people, still am. Several business owners, they don't even know who our county or city commissioners are. When I say I'm running for commissioner, they go, what do you mean? I said, it's like a city council, city commissioner. Well, who's the commissioners? And I said, tell me, well, we've never met any of them. Now, they may have met our commissioners, they just didn't realize they're commissioner. We need to be more visible if we're city commissioners, so people know, so people can come to us and talk to us and see what's going on. I had one business owner that said, I don't know any of them. I said, well, you can vote for up to 5, so if you don't want to offend one of your friends, you can still vote for me. And he said, I'm putting your sign right in the window, I don't care. And he put it in the window. So we need to be more involved in the city commissioners. Whoever's elected needs to be a little more involved, a little more political, get around and talk to the people. And I mean, because a lot of people don't pay attention to what's going on downtown if they don't go downtown. They're concerned about the dilapidated houses in their neighborhood. One woman told me she had a house next door that's empty and she's had kids running in and out of it. Okay, I'm done.
Next up. Okay, our question number 3 it has to do with economics. How would you try or attempt or encourage the bringing of new businesses to Ironwood? Jim?
Well, thank you for that. So as a city commissioner, I've made it a point to pretty much visit all of the downtown Ironwood businesses on First Friday, but on a regular basis throughout the summer, the winter, the fall. And I know that starting a business, encouraging someone to start a business in Ironwood, or I should say in Michigan, is hard to do. In Michigan, there are more regulations and laws than you can shake a stick at. And then you need all of the permits, and the permit people that, that need to come here don't come here on a timely basis, and then people have invested money and their business isn't open. So I can give you one example, Bake Superior Bread. A great bakery, it's bringing hundreds of people shopping in Ironwood every day because of the product they sell, and they didn't have the state licensing permit people showing up there on a timely basis. And one of the things I'm able to do is, for 38, 40 years, I've spent a lot of time in Lansing. So I called up our representative, I called up our senators, I asked them if they could make it a special point to get those permits taken care of, and they were taken care of within 2 weeks. So I used my skill to help that business open. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, my concern for bringing new business to Ironwood is basically, what are these people gonna do when they're facing with these high water and sewer rates? Now, if I was a person bringing a business in Ironwood, already have my own eBay business and I sell on Amazon. So I'm strictly selling on the internet to bring additional money to Ironwood. But for the thing is, what kind of location do these people do? Do they want to build downtown, or do they want to build on the highway? It depends on what kind of business structure they have and what kind of customer base they want. Thank you.
Thank you. I think in order to attract new business to this area, we need to reduce the cost of doing business in Ironwood. I mean, everybody knows winter's hard here. We've got to shovel snow, I mean, you've got to buy salt. I mean, these are just the usual costs of doing business, but it's still more expensive up here to do business. So the insurance is probably one of the first things that we can start going after. We've got some really high insurance rates in this area, and for people on fixed income, that hurts. So, there we go.
To bring businesses in Ironwood, I think we need to show that we're ready for new development. And the things that we've been doing so far is, like, we take care of the blight, and yes, we've taken care of many houses. There's still many, many more that we can take care of. Things that we do with the roads, that we're a millage that helped increase the roads that were done and the upkeep that we have on the roads, shows that we're taking pride in our community and that we care about our community. Our water, sewer infrastructure, keeping that going. I think showing that we're investing in ourselves helps communities show that we're ready for them to come and invest in us. And also even like the simple placemaking strategies, like the simple things of flowers and banners and parks and events. Those are the things that draw the young entrepreneurs. And often people will come to our community first for the things that we have, our assets, whether it's the beautiful Lake Superior or it's the trails that we have. They'll come to our area first and then join them to work for a second. So showing that we're open for development, the things that we're doing, like we're open arms, come see us, we're Ironwood, we're ready for development. So.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with Kim on that we've been working really, really, really hard to improve the product of what Ironwood is. Because we're competing with small towns and cities across the state and this whole country in terms of attracting business and jobs. So, and as we've learned a few years ago, instead of trying to be something you can't be, try to identify what your strengths are and make them stronger. And so that I think that's what we've been focusing on really hard in terms of making our community assets stronger. And and now that we've done that, I think that we could focus on trying to, like, the power of the internet, try to work hard on increasing our broadband and internet presence and capabilities to encourage perhaps some high technology and other internet-based companies to come here. I think we could work hard, and it would involve reaching out, maybe leaving the area, and physically going out and meeting other companies, perhaps throughout the Midwest or in other parts, that perhaps would be good fits for our region, and introduce them to Ironwood, try to sell them on Ironwood, and see if some of them would consider coming here. But again, focusing on, I think worked hard on making Ironwood appealing so that if they come here, they would perhaps, if they like snow and all the other assets that we have, that they would be encouraged to invest in our area. Thank you.
First of all, we have to realize our population has decreased. We are no longer the city that used to be in the sense of population. So there are certain businesses that just will not locate here, not because we're like evil people, it's just simply because we're too small. But also we have to focus and realize that it's the city limits of Ironwood we're talking about. Whatever happens in Hurley, whatever happens in Bessemer, all this stuff might be great, or even in Ironwood Township, it's what happens within the city limits. That's what is our tax base. That's what happens there. And to attract new businesses, we have to, first of all, make sure our water is decent and clean. I was talking to somebody that just opened a business last week, and they told me that they had to pay a $550 water deposit, which is too high for this community. I mean, I understand a deposit, but that's just too high. I also talked to another business owner. They said First Friday is great. It's a start. But what about First Saturday? What happens after First Friday? What happens downtown after 5? Right now, if we went downtown, how dark is it down there? So, in all those stores, some of them said, hey, I'd be staying open to midnight if I had people. A lot of our city people don't even realize what's going on downtown. So we need to be more open to getting new businesses and helping those new businesses and beyond First Friday. And to realize some of those business owners come from another city, another state, so they have a different view on politics. They have a different view on the city. They love our quaint little community, but we need to make it a place to be. Because the city residents, they can't go downtown and do a lot of stuff. They have to go somewhere else. And US 2 is still sort of desolate. It's not really that totally built up. It has a lot of gaps. So there's a lot of things, a lot of improvements that can still be done.
So this is another one of those magic questions of how do you attract new business? And of course, that's a tricky question. There are multiple levels of businesses. There's like the Wapaka Foundry Factory kind of a business. And then there's the mom and pop, Big Superior Bread, the new ice cream store, that kind of business. But the root of it all is you have to have a place that people want to be. If no one thinks much of your town, nothing's going to happen there. And that's what we're working on in Ironwood, is turning our town around in a perception, both of how we view our town and how other people view our town. And I do believe we've made a lot of progress. And I hear it all the time from people who come and ski the Sisu, and they just cannot believe how Ironwood has changed and how it's growing and how friendly the people are and what a great place it is. And over again, you hear this in other recreational aspects as well. Our residents, we have a little bit different perspective, and that a lot of that could be due to things like the water rates. But we have to keep on improving the town that we have. And it's a kind of, if you build it, they will come sort of a concept. Maybe it sounds a little naive, but it is true. It's called placemaking. And if you make your town a place that people want to be, businesses will come. And we also have to have a workforce. And Go Give It Community College helps us to have that. We need to focus on training people who are not looking for a college degree, technical skills as well.
Our next question deals with community interactions. And the question is, what would you do to restore the relationship between the city of Ironwood and Ironwood Township? And I believe the next person up is Mr. Martell.
Thank you. First of all, I believe we should cooperate with the other communities in the area, not just Ironwood Township, but Early, Bessemer, Wakefield, about getting industry in here. That is our number one goal. It doesn't matter where the population goes. We have to, solidify and look for development throughout this area. Because any job or population in one community is going to help the other. Thank you.
I'm not really sure what I do to repair the relationship between Ironwood and Ironwood Township, because they're our neighbor. They actually used to be part of us, from what I understand. Is that correct? So it means having a difficult conversation. It means working with them. And in order to do that, you kind of have to have a conversation. So I think talking to them and going from there would probably
part of building a relationship involves communication and talking, and I guess a start might be is just to have team workshops, invite the township to come to our meetings, or have a mutual area where we can talk about things that we have in common. Let's talk about the library, let's talk about the water, let's talk about how we can bring businesses in, just bring people together, brainstorm, workshop together. Maybe take a look at events that we could share, you know, take a couple committees together to, you know, find something we can get people to come to Ironwood, or where we can look to attract businesses or go out and seek businesses, but work together, because we're all in this together. Wakefield, Bessemer, Ironwood, we're a small community. Each of us, we're all in this together, and we just need to work together, and it starts with talking.
As was mentioned earlier, we are in some ways fragmented because we're different municipalities with our separate forms of government and taxation, but we are all one big community. So the hard part is that we all choose, we're one physical being, we can only live in one place, and I struggle with this. I happen to live in the city of Ironwood, but it doesn't mean that I don't think of myself as part of this whole region. Even extending into Hurley all the way to Bayfield. I mean, to me, this is where I live. I'm part of the whole Upper Peninsula. This is just my view. And yes, there's going to be divisiveness in all aspects of life. But I think it's up to the individual. And I know that when we have events in downtown Ironwood for First Fridays, it's loaded with Ironwood Township people. Many of my friends can't work for us because they're township residents, but I have wonderful friends in Ironwood. I have wonderful friends in Bessemer Township, Wakefield Township, Marinesco, Ontonagon, etc. I think we need to get away from looking so secularly, separately, and then work together. And we can slowly, over time, collaborate and communicate and work together. Just as like our fire departments, municipal fire departments collaborate to solve those issues. So we do communicate in many effective ways, and we can continue, but we can work to communication is always a challenge, and we can work to improve those lines of communication. Thank you.
It should be easy to work with people, but sometimes it's not. On little projects, the township should be proud and independent on some of their projects. The city also needs to focus on the city problems. I had somebody from Ironwood Township, I asked them, I didn't know they actually live in the township because they're sort of the barrier, and I says, how's your water? And they go, I live in the township, ha ha. So and I was like, wow, okay, you know, we have better water. In fact, we even have Lake Superior. I said, oh yeah, that's right, you do. So, of course, but on big projects for development, for bringing maybe major jobs to the area, different things like that, yes, you have to work together because the community itself, the whole county is too small. You can't expect a factory to come in, you have to show the whole area. So it's very important to work together as a whole on certain things. Yes, you can always have your little rivalries and certain little things, but in general, to improve the entire county, to improve Ironwood Township, or to improve the city of Ironwood, you have to work together on certain projects. It's just common sense. There's no reason to be rivals in certain projects. Because think about it, even though we have Wapaka and other jobs that may come, that doesn't mean they're living in the city of Ironwood. So even though we may be proud we're having new jobs in the area perhaps, that doesn't mean they're paying taxes in the city of Ironwood or our property owners. So, you know, they're probably going somewhere else perhaps. So that's why we have to work together. We have to be very careful and make sure we do and work in a spirit of unity.
Well, I'd like to say that some of my best friends live in the township, so I don't think that the relationship between Ironwood and Ironwood Township is as bad as maybe this question is phrased. There have been some issues that clearly we didn't see eye to eye, but in general, we do work together quite well. I serve on the wastewater authority, and I work with township board members there, and they're very good people. We have no problem getting along. We communicate quite well. The township residents recently asked us to put internet towers up on Mount Zion. They're not very tall. It was an easy thing for us to say yes. we will always look for ways to cooperate with Ironwood Township. And hopefully we can bridge the gaps that developed over something like, for example, the library issue. And I think that was one thing, and we're going to continue to go beyond that and work together, and things are going to always be in flux but get better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think that there's any type of great divisiveness between Ironwood Township and Ironwood. I think that some of the really big efforts that are taking place, having summer ski jumping at Copper Peak, making Copper Peak a training center for the Olympics, having thousands of people visit there every fall. All of my friends in Ironwood Township and myself and other people in Ironwood, we're rolling up our sleeves together on that. Santa's headquarters, we roll up our sleeves together and we try to help the children in this community. Ironwood Kiwanis, we work together, Ironwood Township residents, Ironwood residents. I would say that if there was any divisiveness, it was brought to fruition with the library, where they had contributed to the Ironwood Library, and then they switched that around and they started contributing to the Besmer Library. But you know what? Time goes by and people change, and we should revisit that again and see if that would be something that we would work together on again. So that would be my hope.
No, this will be our lead off.
Thank you.
Right there. And this will be our last question before our break, and then we'll break for 5 minutes and come back for the final round. This question I'll start out with Tom. What are your ideas to address the high tax rate and population decline in our city? What are your ideas to address the high tax rate and population decline in our city?
Well, first of all, I think we have to look at how we tax people as well as the costs that we're spending on things. And we can always cut costs wherever we can. Maybe we need to introduce this marijuana taxation thing, at least get something coming in. You know, if it's going to be going on in our community, we at least should be prospering from it rather than these backdoor transactions that are currently going on now. Thank you.
Well, a tax rate, that's always kind of going to be hard to discuss, because you always want to give the best to your community, but a lot of things come with a price tag. I think over the years, Ironwood probably wasn't proactive enough. So we were a town of 20,000 people 100 years ago, and now we're a town of 5,000 people, but we still have to maintain the infrastructure. So over the years, I think that we end up with 60, 70, 80-year-old infrastructure. We need to fix it. It has to come at a price. And I think, you know, with the involvement that I've seen with the department, there's been some increases and there's been some grant funding, and we've kind of worked that way to ease the burden of taxes that we'll see. I don't know that there's an easy fix. I think we're probably in the upper one-third of the area as far as like taxes that our people are paying. But to try to focus on the decline of people, I think the direction that we're going with the placemaking helps. You know, market our assets. This is what we have. This is what we can offer. Here are our new roads. Here are our parks. Here are our trails. You know, come to our area. And I think we just have to have the positive attitude and sell ourselves that way to get folks to come in and maybe bring along businesses with that. But the tax rate is a difficult question. I really don't know what the answer is, but we do need to address like our continual roads and continual water and sewer and filtration systems. So thank you.
Yeah, I would agree that that's a very challenging question because nobody really enjoys paying taxes. And I personally believe that we've been working, and I hope that we confine tax increases, that we do what we can to manage with what we have. There's some of the tax rates that the city electorate has voted to pay. So for instance, paying a mill to support the Civic Center, which I personally think should be a regional tax, perhaps through the county. But good for the citizens of Ironwood for bucking up and supporting that wonderful entity for our youth and our community. The city passed a 2 mil tax a few years ago to resurface our streets for a 10-year period because of the challenges of our environment, and our streets were in bad shape. They had been overlooked for a while. And again, the citizens knew what they wanted, they understood the issue, and they were willing to pay for that tax. I know as commissioners, having served on, that we study the budget and we work hard with the city staff to address these issues. And thank you.
When the population started to decrease, the problem was not addressed. It just kept going. It was like buying a big SUV right before the gas prices went up to $4. That happened to me. But anyhow, it was a bad idea. And so we have not downsized like we should. The property taxes are too high. The water rates are too high. There's several things that are too high. People will live in surrounding communities more than the city of Ironwood just because of the taxes or because of the water rates or because of the question of what's going on. So we need to do everything we can and look at every avenue to cut costs, to lower the taxes. And it may take a while, but it really will depend on putting the nose to the grindstone and really saying, okay, we can't get new businesses into the city. We can't get a lot of new residences. Our home values have decreased. People are buying houses like you would buy a car, less than a car into the city of Ironwood. So we need to figure out how to get these property taxes lowered, how to get our water rate. There's a lot of things that it may take some work, but it needs to be addressed quickly because we continue to lose. We're losing revenue, we're losing so on because people are not going to pay some of these taxes. They're not going to pay these water rates. And we're losing people.
So this is a really complicated catch-22 type issue that Ironwood is in with our tax rates. We have a declining population and we have a depressed property value situation. So in order to generate enough revenue to run a town, it takes X number of dollars. Cutting costs is a great idea. I happen to, having been involved in the city for a pretty long time, feel that we run a really tight ship. And somebody could probably look really hard and find something here or something there, but I do believe that we're doing a really good job. So if you're the typical Ironwood resident and you have a modest home, you might have a high millage, but your actual taxes aren't going to be as high as someone who has a really nice house and gets really slammed by our high millage. And I don't know the solution to that. It is a problem. But what we're doing is we're trying to make Ironwood more attractive and improve the overall quality of our town. And the ultimate goal would be for property values to go up, which at that point we could perhaps decrease our millage. But as the mayor pointed out, a lot of the millages that we have are voted by our residents. We have a millage on the Gogebic Medical Care Facility. We have a millage for the Civic Center. We have a millage to fix the streets. And there are other millages that are mandated that we, for the public safety and so forth. So there's no easy out. Just keep on trying to improve our town and improve the level of our overall tax base.
Yeah, I would also say that I'm really proud of the people in Gogebic County, proud of the people in Ironwood, because they've taken on that burden. And like you say, they wanted public transportation, they wanted Gogebic Medical, they wanted good streets, they wanted parks, and they've been willing to pay the price for that. So if you live in Marquette, for example, you know, Marquette's taxes are way higher than the surrounding area. Our taxes are higher than the surrounding area, but that's because we have the downtown businesses. We have parks where people can go, we have trails that they can walk on. We have a civic center, we have those amenities that make living in Ironwood fun for us, and I think Ironwood's turned the corner. I think that the population was going down because of the mines, that had to happen. But now, when I go to downtown Ironwood, every day this summer from about 11 till 3, our downtown is packed. If you visited Ironwood 6 years ago, there were barely a car on the main street, and there was barely anyone shopping. And I know so many young people, they're buying homes in Ironwood right now because they can afford to buy that home. And then when they get here, they can take their children for walks on the trail, they can go to the parks, they can play on the playground equipment, and we're moving in the right direction. Thank you.
As I stated before, we have to get a population growth, not just in Ironwood, but the surrounding community, and bring employment around in the same area. Now, as it was mentioned before, the tax rate is mostly going to the general fund, and has to pay for our public safety department, the 12 or so people in the memorial building. They just approved spending money for the City Square project where costs haven't been totaled yet. We have to do something about reducing these these taxes, and that's the only way. Thank you.
We are at 8 o'clock, so you have a break for about 5 or 6 minutes to get a drink or take a walk, and we will resume for our last set of questions and the closing statement. Thank you.